Potters, and welcome once again to another helping of Mr H's Hot Pot. Today you join me on the former Betafence site, which is on Woodhouse Lane in Wigan, where I've come to do a quick little video and try out a different camera because I'm not happy with the quality of some of the footage from other videos that I've shot. Now, this site was originally a colliery called Douglas Bank, and there's not really much to see on here today because it's been completely flattened. It's had many incarnations over the time. I think the War Department even had a little do here during the war, and there's been 100 years of industry actually on this site. So we'll go down now and we'll start off with one of the remainders from the Douglas Bank Colliery, which is the former Compressor Rows. Now, this is all that remains of the former compressor house to Douglas Bank Colliery. It's been half demolished, there's no roof on it anymore, and it's in a bit of a sorry state. But the brickwork there does reveal that this was once a glorious looking building. And I will give the Victorians the due, you know, they did know how to build things. I mean, you can see the thickness of those walls there. Things were built to last, you know, no breeze block and any of that rubbish in these buildings. Just a shot there looking back towards Woodhouse Lane. The petrol station there, as you can see, is just over the fence. Now, this site was taken over in about 1980 by a company called GKN, and my father actually worked at this company. He did 13.5 years, which is quite outstanding, really. You know, people don't do 5 minutes at a job now, but yeah, he put the bread on the table for a young Mr H for 13.5 years. Here we have another shot of the compressor house from the outside. As I said, the front's been demolished. Now, that building, according to my father, actually housed a big machine for straightening mesh out. And there was a crane in there, a big overhead crane. Apparently it was a really freezing cold building to work in, so not many people wanted to go in there. Looking back towards the railway line here. As you can see, it's a fair old site, this, and it'll hold quite a number of houses. Although there's a little surprise further up that we'll go and have a look at in a bit. Now, this patch of land here that you can see that's rough is where the actual weighbridge used to be for all the mesh, and it would then go on through them gates there, which was the Canal Street entrance to the site. Apparently this was the warmest part of GKN and Gridweld, because the rest of the places had all the doors open so wagons and etc could come in and out. But in here, the fella who used to be in here, he had a little electric fire, so people used to sort of make their way over here, and he was sort of tucked away. Like I say, many an happy hour been spent in there by a few skivers, I believe. Bit of a closer look at the Canal Street gates there, entrance to the site. As I say, I could imagine it'll be quite a nice estate built on here once building work actually commences. It's been vacant, this land, now for about 2 years, and apart from gypsies coming on the site, not really much has been happening on here, other than dog walkers such as myself coming on here. We'll all miss it when it finally does go. Now, as I said, my father worked here in the 80s, in the building that would have stood behind me. And I remember coming with him one day. He was bringing a club note in. He was on the sick, and he was bringing his doctor's note in, and we had a walk around, and the first thing that I remember was the taste of steel being in the air. I could actually taste it long after I'd come out the building, and actually now, thinking about it, I can even recall that taste in my mouth. It was a horrible place. You know, really conditions there was poor. How we stood it for 13.5 years, I do not know. I suppose needs must. The only other remaining structure on this site is a prefab building which used to house the gas meter and all the gas pipes which would have fed the factory. Why it's been left up, I don't know. As you can see there, somebody's been in and took part of it out. I'm surprised scrapmen haven't had that. We're very close to the canal here, and I believe there used to be a wharf here at one point, but there's no evidence of that now. I should imagine the houses that will be built on this area, they'll have a nice lovely view of the canal in summer. So those could be quite desirable. The actual houses you see in the distance was also part of this site, but I believe they sold it off in the 80s and built on it. 80s and 90s, one of the two. Somebody will probably watch this and correct me. Now, that little surprise I was telling you about earlier for the builders when they do start developing that site is actually under them 3 car parking spaces there. There's actually a mine shaft under that spot which opened up in about the late 1970s, and my father hadn't been working here very long. He'd only been working here about a couple of weeks when apparently it opened up right near the canteen and people could look out from the canteen and see straight down the shaft. They filled it with all kinds of stuff, what they had, spare bits of mesh and cement and that, but whether it was done professionally or it was just a bit of a bodge job, we'll never know. If you do actually look at the land here, you can see a bit of a dip in it, so whether or not it'll go when they start digging on here again remains to be seen. Well, there we have it, the old Betafence site. Like I say, it's just a quick video, this one, just really to test this camera and see how it deals with light and that. The shutter speed on my other one wasn't really good. It was a bit like you coming out of a dark room and straight into a light room and squinting. The camera was doing that. So hopefully we'll be able to get out again and we'll be on a bit of a better location than this one, but I'll just throw it up for a bit of a test video for this camera and people can let me know what they think. So until the next time, from the girls and from me, bye bye for now.